In a world saturated with manufactured stars and polished performers, few stories strike as deeply as that of Roland Abante, a man who rose not from the music industry, but from the salty waves of the Philippine seas. Known back home simply as Buno, Roland wasn't groomed for the spotlight. He spent his life hauling in nets, riding motorcycles for extra income, and finding solace in karaoke bars when the day's labor left him aching. But when he walked onto the stage of America's Got Talent in 2023, carrying nothing but a trembling heart and a dream decades in the making, everything changed. With a single breath, he transformed a global audience. The world stopped, not for the usual spectacle, but for the raw gut-punch emotion that came pouring out of this humble fisherman's voice. Roland didn't just sing, he opened a wound, told a story, and reminded millions of the magic that happens when raw talent meets relentless grit. And yet, while his voice soared, his journey took turns no one expected. What followed was a whirlwind of praise, heartbreak, speculation, and second chances. So what really happened to Roland Abante after the lights of AGT dimmed? The answer is far more surprising than you'd think. Long before the standing ovations and viral videos, Roland Abante's life unfolded in the rugged coastline of Cebu City, Philippines, where poverty wasn't a headline, it was a daily reality. Born on August 3, 1978, Roland grew up surrounded by the ebb and flow of hardship, his days spent braving the sun and sea as a fisherman. Each morning, he would cast nets into uncertain waters, never knowing whether the ocean would offer a catch or a cruel silence. When he wasn't fishing, he ferried passengers on his motorcycle, his version of a side hustle to keep the lights on. But beneath the grit of labor and the fatigue of survival lived a voice waiting to be heard. In a culture where karaoke is both tradition and therapy, Roland found his first stage in dimly lit bars and neighborhood gatherings. With every note sung, he chipped away at the anonymity that bound him. Locals began to whisper about the fisherman with the golden voice, a man whose songs could hush a crowd and stir old wounds. There was no studio, no vocal coach, no PR machine, just raw emotion and an uncanny ability to channel heartbreak into melody. It was this authenticity that would later shake the world. But back then, in the humid streets of Cebu, Roland was just another struggling man with a secret weapon, a voice too big to stay hidden forever. Before the America's Got Talent spotlight ever found him, Roland Abante had already ignited a digital wildfire with nothing more than a karaoke mic and unfiltered passion. It was 2014 when an unsuspecting video of Roland singing Michael Bolton's To Love Somebody in a modest Filipino karaoke joint was uploaded to the internet, and what happened next was something even he couldn't have imagined. His powerhouse vocals, drenched in raw emotion and heartbreak, sent shockwaves through social media. Within days, millions had watched the clip, and Roland's name began trending far beyond the borders of Cebu. What started as a night of casual singing quickly snowballed into unexpected national attention. Filipino talk shows came calling. He graced the stages of Gandang Gabi Vice and ASA, rubbing shoulders with musical icons like Arnel Pineda and Gary Valenciano. Roland had in essence been discovered, but fame, as quickly as it comes, can be slippery. Despite this explosive moment, his trajectory didn't soar the way fans had hoped. Behind the scenes, conflicting management decisions and missed opportunities stifled his momentum. One of the most painful setbacks, turning down a chance to appear on the Ellen DeGeneres show, a move that could have launched his voice into global recognition. Instead, Roland receded from the limelight, returning to fishing and motorbike gigs while music slipped into the background. The fame had come, but the industry doors remained stubbornly closed. Still, that viral moment proved one thing beyond doubt: Roland Abante was no ordinary fisherman. He was a sleeping giant in the music world, just waiting for a second shot. Even as the viral wave subsided, Roland Abante wasn't content with returning to obscurity. In 2017, he made a quiet but determined push to carve out a real space in the music world, beginning with something most viral sensations never attempt: a collection of original work. His mini-album Boat, released that year, was a raw and emotional project that featured 4 tracks composed by Filipino songwriters. While modest in scale, the songs offered something rare: an intimate glimpse into Roland's soul, beyond the covers and karaoke stages. Released on platforms like iTunes and Spotify, the album revealed a man capable not just of interpreting emotion, but generating it from scratch. Still, even with his newfound digital presence, Roland's name didn't fully penetrate the mainstream. So he turned to competition, this time in the highly popular segment Tawag Ng Tanghalan TNT on ABS-CBN's It's Showtime. Stepping into that televised arena, Roland faced off against seasoned local vocalists. His performance of Michael Bolton's Said I Loved You, But I Lied wasn't just a return to familiar material, it was a masterclass in vocal command. The judges awarded him a staggering 93.8%, making him the daily winner. Yet victory slipped through his fingers when his competitor Adelan Rabulan countered with an equally powerful rendition of I Am Changing by Jennifer Hudson. It was a narrow defeat, but the impact was significant. The competition marked Roland's first real attempt to re-enter the industry on his own terms. For the first time, he wasn't just the viral guy, he was a contender, a craftsman, and a fighter. The hunger was clear. And as it turned out, the world was about to give him a much bigger stage to prove it. In 2023, Roland Abante stepped onto the most iconic talent stage in the world, with nothing more than a translator by his side, a trembling heart, and a dream he'd carried since childhood. For a man who had spent years wrestling with nets and weathering storms at sea, the pressure of America's Got Talent felt like a different kind of tide, just as vast, just as unpredictable. At first, the judges seemed unsure. His nerves were visible, his hands unsteady. But the moment he opened his mouth and unleashed Percy Sledges When a Man Loves a Woman, the room transformed. A hush fell over the crowd, quickly giving way to a wave of stunned applause. His voice, raw, broken, and explosive, pierced through the glitz and glamour, striking a nerve in everyone watching. The judges were visibly moved. Simon Cowell, often skeptical of underdog acts, confessed his initial doubts but admitted to being completely blown away. He praised Roland's ability to channel vulnerability into strength, calling the audition unexpectedly magnificent. All four judges gave him an enthusiastic yes, propelling him straight into the next round. But it wasn't just the panel he won over, it was the world. His audition video racked up millions of views on YouTube in a matter of days, with comments pouring in from across the globe, calling him the Filipino Pavarotti and the people's champion. For Roland, it wasn't just validation, it was redemption. After years of false starts and missed chances, he had finally arrived on a platform that didn't just see him, but celebrated him. The fisherman from Cebu was no longer just a local legend. He was now a global voice, and people were hungry for more. By the time Roland Abante reached the semi-finals of America's Got Talent, he wasn't just another contestant. He was a fan favorite, a symbol of resilience, and to many a destined finalist. So when he returned to the stage to take on the Herculean task of performing Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, expectations were sky high, and once again Roland delivered. His voice soared with controlled emotion, carefully balancing the song's delicate vulnerability and explosive peaks. The judges rose to their feet, the audience erupted in applause, and social media lit up in real time. Viewers across continents declared that the performance sealed his place in the finals. But then came a twist that no one saw coming. Despite the outpouring of praise and overwhelming public support, Roland's name was not called during the finalist announcements. The reaction online was immediate and brutal: outrage, confusion, accusations that the system had failed. Many fans believed that Roland had been robbed of a fair shot, citing his consistent emotional delivery and massive fan engagement as proof that he deserved to go all the way. Even entertainment outlets covering the show noted the surprise elimination, calling it the night's biggest upset. For Roland, it was a moment of quiet heartbreak. He had poured his soul into the performance, only to be met with silence from the scoreboard. But in typical Roland fashion, he accepted the outcome with grace. There were no tears on stage, just a humble nod, a thank you to the crowd, and a promise to keep going. Because while the AGT journey may have ended for him that night, the world's ears were still wide open. And for Roland Abante, the spotlight was only just beginning to follow him. After the shock of his elimination, Roland Abante found himself caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions: gratitude, disappointment, exhaustion. For months he had ridden the emotional highs of standing ovations and the crushing low of being passed over at the very moment he seemed poised for greatness. Sensing that Roland needed more than just applause, he needed space, his manager Joel Sebeg made a decision that would prove vital. The two quietly stepped away from the spotlight and headed to Hawaii. It wasn't a glamorous post-show tour or a press-fueled victory lap. It was a retreat, a breather from the intensity of global attention. For Roland, the ocean breeze of Honolulu was a reminder of home, and the days spent relaxing on warm sand offered the first real silence he'd experienced since AGT had thrust him into the limelight. Away from the camera flashes and pressure of performance, Roland was finally able to reflect. He wasn't angry, he wasn't bitter. If anything, he was grateful to the judges, to the fans, and most of all to the version of himself that never gave up. The Hawaii trip became more than a vacation, it was a symbolic pause before the next act. And when he returned to the public eye, he did so with renewed purpose. His break from the stage didn't diminish his appeal. In fact, it deepened it. Fans had seen the strength of his voice, but now they saw the strength of his character. Roland wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing fulfillment, and that subtle shift would shape everything he did next. Beyond the bright lights and roaring crowds, Roland Abante leads a life that few in the spotlight manage to preserve, a life grounded in simplicity, love, and unwavering loyalty to family. While fans around the world speculate about his next big performance or possible collaborations, Roland finds his greatest fulfillment not on stage, but at home. He is a devoted husband to Seth Abante, a woman who has been his steady anchor through every storm, long before any viral moment or talent show appearance. Their marriage isn't part of a publicity campaign or a press circuit. It's a quiet, enduring partnership that has weathered the uncertainty of fame and the hardship of humble beginnings. Together, they've raised a son, Gry, who appears to be following closely in his father's footsteps. Like Roland, Gry has discovered a deep love for music, and according to those close to the family, the young boy's vocal ability is already turning heads in local performances. Watching his son sing is, for Roland, more emotional than any standing ovation. It's legacy in motion, a passing of the torch, not through headlines, but through harmony. Their bond is strengthened by shared passion, and in many ways Gry represents everything Roland has fought for: the opportunity to dream without limits. In a world where fame often fractures families, Roland's has only grown stronger. And while millions know him as the man with the voice that shook AGT, at home, he's just Dad. The same man who used to sing under the stars after a long day at sea, now mentoring a new voice rising in his own household. With the echoes of America's Got Talent still ringing around the world, Roland Abante found himself standing at the edge of a rare opportunity, one that few underdog contestants ever reach. Though he didn't leave AGT with the trophy, he walked away with something arguably more powerful: a fiercely loyal global fan base. The outpouring of support didn't end when the season did. His social media platforms began to surge, filled with messages from fans across the Philippines, the US, Canada, Europe, and beyond. What began as an underdog audition had turned into an international movement. Roland seized the momentum with newfound clarity. No longer waiting for a manager to open doors or for television producers to hand him scripts, he took his story into his own hands. He began organizing live performances across North America, announcing appearances in key cities where AGT fans were eager to finally hear him live. The dates weren't just concerts, they were celebrations. Each stage he stepped onto became a reunion between an ordinary man and the extraordinary audience that believed in him. And every show reinforced what AGT had only hinted at. Roland Abante wasn't a one-hit wonder or a viral fluke. He was an artist with staying power. But perhaps most impressively, Roland remained grounded. He continued to share life updates with humility, never boasting, never detached. Just a grateful man on a remarkable journey, singing his truth and taking fans along for the ride. With each tour stop and every shared moment online, Roland's reach expanded, and so did the sense that this second chapter of his life was only just beginning. Just when fans thought Roland Abante's story had peaked, a new wave of speculation reignited the buzz. this time involving another Filipino vocal powerhouse, Marcelito Pomoy. Known globally for his mind-bending ability to sing in both male and female registers, Marcelito had previously stunned the world on Filipinas Got Talent, and later on America's Got Talent, The Champions. So when the two were spotted together at an airport, whispers turned into full-blown excitement. Could this be the ultimate collaboration fans never knew they needed? Social media erupted with theories. Photos surfaced of Roland and Marcelito in casual conversation, reportedly in transit to Los Angeles. Fans connected the dots. Rumors began swirling about a joint performance scheduled for a birthday celebration concert in Burbank, California. While neither artist has confirmed the details, insiders suggest the event could feature both singers performing side by side, blending their vastly different but equally mesmerizing styles. For many, this would be more than just a musical spectacle, it would be a cultural milestone. Two Filipino artists, both of whom clawed their way into international recognition through sheer talent and resilience, sharing the same stage. It was the kind of event that could send shockwaves through both the Filipino music scene and the AGT global fanbase. But as of now, everything remains in the realm of speculation. Roland and Marcelito have remained tight-lipped, adding even more mystery to the equation. Yet fans remain hopeful. Because if this rumored duet does materialize, it won't just be a concert, it'll be a moment that redefines what it means to rise from humble beginnings and take the world by storm together. As the dust settled from a whirlwind year of global performances, viral fame and fan-driven momentum, Roland Abante took a moment to do something few artists in his position ever paused to do: say thank you. On his 46th birthday, he uploaded a heartfelt video that was less about celebration and more about reflection. Dressed simply, standing in front of a modest backdrop, Roland looked directly into the camera and spoke not as a star but as a man overwhelmed by gratitude. He thanked his fans for changing his life, for lifting him from the quiet struggle of fishing boats and motorbike runs to the center of the world stage. "You gave me this life," he said, his voice cracking with emotion, "and I promise I won't waste it." The message was raw, authentic, and deeply human, proof that even after the glamour of America's Got Talent and the growing possibility of high-profile collaborations, Roland remained grounded in the humility that first won over hearts. But what comes next is where the real anticipation lies. Plans for an international tour are already in motion. New music projects are rumored to be in the works, with producers from both the Philippines and the US reportedly reaching out. And the persistent whispers of a Marcelito Pomoy duet continue to fuel excitement. For Roland, the dream isn't over, it's evolving. He's no longer chasing stages or viral moments. Now he's building something lasting: a career, a legacy, and a platform for the next generation of talent, including his own son. From the quiet shores of Cebu to the global music scene, Roland Abante's story is a testament to what happens when talent refuses to be silenced. The stage may change, the songs may shift, but his voice, rich, real, and unmistakably his, continues to rise.